It's sort of an unwritten tradition that I kick off the cold open with some sort of snide comment or observation, but today I just got nothing. No, actually, okay, I take that back.
I was gonna say James without a snide remark.
Without snide and salt. Come on.
Yeah. So you have Mr. and Mistress, right? So that would imply that there's also a hamster and hamstress, correct?
Or if you
Mistress is the counterpart to master, though.
Still, it still stands. The stir and the stress.
It's an aster instead of an hamster, though.
Go with the more antiquated form and go hamster and hamstrix.
Hamstrix. Hamstrin, or like a matron, or like a
hamstrix.
Hamstrix.
They're for kids.
A hamstring sounds like something you pull when you bend the wrong way.
Hamstrix of all graces. Anyway.
Right.
Other than mediating hamsters, how are we doing today, guys?
I'm doing pretty all right, actually.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Some nice results back from my last couple of tests, and I'm feeling good. I'm understanding the concepts. I'm applying myself. I'm getting ahead on homework. Of course, I'm mainly getting ahead because I know that Metroid Dread comes out in 2 days, and so I'm going to binge that all the weekend, and I'm not going to get any homework done.
Sounds about right. As is just and fair. One may get ahead on homework if one may binge Metroid Dread.
Right, and I am very excited.
The long-awaited Metroid Dread, nonetheless.
Well, the funny thing about the game is, it was like initially a concept back on like the DS, so like 2005.
Yep.
And it was rumored to be in development and coming out on the DS, but it didn't because apparently the concept, they didn't have a powerful enough system to run the concept. Because they refused to make 2D games for home consoles, you have to quarantine those in the handheld, the lower form of gaming that they are, according to AAA developers. Anyway, so like to have the long-rumored mysterious vaporware finally come to fruition like 20 years almost after it initially was
which is kind of insane when you think about it.
Yeah. So I am very excited to see the next like chapter in the timeline, because it's like Metroid Fusion was the last one like to continue the story forward. All the other ones are like remakes and in-between quills.
Sure. This is what Samus was doing on her way to or from thing you knew about already.
Right. But that's something I am excited for, which by the time this comes out, it will have already been out, and I probably will have already finished it.
Yeah, let's be real.
Given that it's a Metroid game, and it probably won't be more than 20 hours, but
yep.
I'll probably also replay it. Just speed run.
Now, is this a true 2D, or is this like a 3D on a 2D axis? Like a side-scroller?
I think 2.5D is a very dumb, like category.
It's just technically idiotic.
The gameplay exists on two axes of movement. It is a 2D game. Sure, it uses 3D models, but Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo used 3D models.
Right.
If gameplay really only exists in two axes of movement, it's a 2D game. Madden is a 2D game.
Depending. There are there are different angles you can play from. It's just people typically don't.
Sure, but you only go up, down, left, and right.
True.
There's like the Z-axis plays no real role aside from selectively how high your ball is when you throw it.
True.
And by
also,
that logic,
you can hurdle people.
Well, by that logic,
so there is very minimal usage of the Z-axis.
It's no more 3D than Link to the Past.
Yeah. I saw a meme today where it was tell me you're stupid without telling me you're stupid, or something along those lines. And it was just a bookshelf full of FIFA games going back until like I don't know, the early 2010s or whatever.
You realize like every FIFA game they come out with is a roster update for a game they made 20 years ago that's $60.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they steadily improved the character models up until about 5 years ago.
Sure.
At which point they've gotten as good as they're going to get on the particular hardware that they're working with.
Because let's be real, it'd be kind of creepy for the players if they were like deep 3D laser scanned into a program.
Well, I mean, your ordinary home consoles just don't have the power to deal with that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. At least not yet.
In order to make them affordable, they're not going to have the hardware to do anything crazy.
Duplicate the bodies and scan the heads, pretty much.
Have sliders for height and so forth.
Yeah.
Which is basically how those games operate.
Make your football player dummy thick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
Which is what I would always do with those. In every game that I can possibly make, I just maximize the lower body size. In anything where there is a lower body size slider. you know, make the upper body enough to be proportional, but like the legs are really where it shines.
We're just, I'm sure people have tried. It's a lot of work, but like in Madden, you can make a team of all of the largest maxed out stats versus all of the, zeroed out smallest players. It's kind of funny to watch once. And then after that, it's sort of lost its luster. If it even had luster, that's a bit of a strong word.
Mm. I think the best part of like any character creation tool in a video game is making the dumbest looking character you can possibly make.
Yeah.
Like making Zoidberg in Dark Souls.
Right.
Yep. I'm sure, the Skyrim character creator has been memed to death at this point.
Yeah, all of the Bethesda character creations are pretty robust. But like you've got the Fallout 4 Luigi one. No, Waluigi one.
That's gotta be great.
Why never changes.
Yep. Speaking of Waluigi, he didn't make it into Smash Ultimate.
He didn't make it.
It was
Spoiler
Disney
alert.
Boy.
I mean, nobody really expected Waluigi to end up
No, of course
in
not.
Smash, because that's sort of.
I mean,
a
we
meta at
all
this
hoped
point.
for it, but no one expected it to happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as if this is the last Smash game they were going to make. Even
Not
if it
for
is
a while,
Ultimate.
but
It is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That means it is, by definition, the last one.
Mm-hmm.
not the last one, but the peak, perhaps. I mean,
The word ultimate means last.
I see.
Yep, but
But money.
and video game naming conventions are hardly.
Ultimately, Ultimate 2.
Yeah,
Ultimate 2.
ultimate superlative. I mean, let's face it. It's a Japanese studio, so it's probably going to have
Well, in
like
Japan,
three or
it's called,
four adjectives added to the title.
Well, in Japan, it's called Super Smash Brothers Special. They called it Ultimate for non-Japanese areas because it sounded.
It makes more sense in English, I guess, to say it that way, because
But it
special
doesn't.
sounds just kind of lame.
I mean, sure, Ultimate's better than Special, but also Ultimate does not adequately capture the, it gives you a false impression.
Can anything truly be called Ultimate if it doesn't include Waluigi? Let's be real.
Yeah,
True.
this is true.
Well, what it means is that they've lied to us by calling it Ultimate.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying there's yet another level beyond Ultimate? We're gonna get super heady
Ultimate.
with this.
Ultimate.
Speaking of Go Beyond, we're not talking about that today.
No, we're not talking about My Hero
But
Academia.
how have you guys been keeping up with it?
We have
Are
kept
you-
up.
are you
There's
Yeah.
one episode left that isn't in English yet. We haven't seen.
Yes.
How many episodes are
the
left in
what?
this season?
I think it's just the one, right?
Yep.
Dang, so we're coming up on the finale then.
We are.
coming up on the finale of season 5.
Which is cool. There's been some pretty neat, interesting things in the last few episodes.
Yeah, it feels like kind of a strange place to leave a season.
It feels like it's
But-
setting up for season 6 more than
Yeah,
This
for
is
that
like
to be a much more hypey. Season 5 was very much like a transition period.
Yeah, the entire thing was just kind of introducing some ideas to pay off later, which we can talk more in depth about our thoughts on the season when we talk about the show in general.
At this point, it seems as if it's very much when they close it out, the pieces will be set for a big throwdown for an entire season worth.
Yes. Particularly with where they're setting up the heroes and villains to be all like achieving new levels of power and such.
Yep.
Pretty interesting.
Yep. But we're the Palladium Papists. I'm James.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Riley.
We are talking about superhero stuff today with a edition of Gregarious Games.
Baby.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're finally tackling Batman after a fashion. I mean, we're going to start with the Arkham games.
Right. We've been kind of holding out on Batman, hoping that my brother and James's brother-in-law would get in on an episode because he's well-spoken and knowledgeable about Batman.
Very knowledgeable about Batman.
Do an episode on him.
Which there's plenty of opportunity yet to do.
Oh, yes. There's the Nolan trilogy. There's the old
we could cover the Adam West Batmans.
Oh,
yeah.
I grew up on those.
They're corny fun. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Now that I look back on it, for the most part, pretty child safe, except for some of the costume design choices. But, well, anyway, regardless. So, yes.
There's some animated movies and shows that are actually really worth talking about, too, actually.
Yeah. Killing Joke, things like that.
I would rather talk about the comic of Killing Joke than the movie, though, just because it kind of did some dumb stuff.
Yeah. But
anyway, but we're not talking
be that
about
as
this.
it may, we are talking about one of the incarnations of Batman, which is the Arkham series
trilogy
of games.
series.
Yeah. There's four.
There's
Origins loosely fits into the category.
I haven't played Origins yet, but I've played the other three.
Because it's not made by the same studio as the other three.
Oh.
And also Mark Hamill doesn't voice Joker in that one, so it's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But it does some interesting things.
So yeah,
I've only played Asylum and City. And James got
yes.
So yeah,
that's the same for me.
The three games are Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight, and then there's Arkham Origins.
KNIGHT, by the way.
Yeah. Yep.
Knigget.
So
you silly Gotham Knigget.
The first game opens where you're Batman and you've captured Joker, and you're bringing him in to Arkham Asylum, which is Gotham's prison/mental hospital for supervillains.
Bad guys.
Yep. So Batman is kind of suspicious that Joker went down a little too easily. So what's his plan? Which quickly becomes evident as Joker escapes his bonds and basically takes over Arkham Asylum because he has planted his goons all over the place, and they have a prison riot and take the place over. So Batman has to battle his way through the goons and the rogues gallery because you've got Crocodile or Killer
Croc, you've got Poison Ivy, you've got Scarecrow, you've got Harley Quinn, you've got
Two-Face.
Two-Face doesn't show up till the second movie.
You're right.
But like pretty standard Batman villain lineup shows up in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They take turns being bosses of areas. Bane shows up. He's kind of important to the main story because Joker has one of the doctors at Arkham working on a variation on the
venom juice that makes Bane go big.
Right, which Venom being a super steroid, not the symbiote from outer space that latches onto Spider-Man.
Yep, that's different.
That is a different Venom.
Basically, a souped-up version of this that he wants to release into the city to cause chaos because he's the Joker.
He's an agent of chaos.
Yeah. So the Batman, hey, it's the Bat. Man, the number of times they call him the Bat. Oh, man, if I had a nickel for every. Anyway.
Be on your guard, boys.
Bat's out tonight. So yeah, you the gameplay, you go around, you got all of your gadgets as Batman, and you can fly around and beat up and be stealthy or go in fist swinging there's a bunch of different fun gameplay options for that. You gradually find out as you slowly begin to win back control with the wardens and police and so forth of the asylum. You start to uncover Joker's plan, which is to release the venom into the upgraded I think it's called Titan.
Yeah.
Into the city to infect a bunch of people and
cause chaos and make Joker, take over Gotham, because that's a thing he wants to do.
Yep. So Batman gradually captures the supervillains and overcomes his Scarecrow fears for the first time, and slowly captures them. And
he doesn't he create an anti-venom of sorts with help from poison ivy?
Yep.
Plants and stuff.
He does that, and so he's like, okay, I'm gonna use this and try to stop Joker. So eventually he gets to Joker, who is like
Big Joker.
Yeah, he becomes Big Joker. He injects himself with the Titan stuff, and injects Batman with it, but because he wants to have a big, mega fight against Batman because he's obsessed with him. But Batman injects himself with the little bit of antidote that they have, and fights Joker and beats him up a bunch until he gives him some antidote and he becomes smaller again.
And then Arkham Asylum blows up.
Yep.
Because Joker planted bombs or something.
Yep, he blows up Arkham Asylum, and we think most of the Titan is gone.
End of game one.
So the second game is Arkham City. There's been all of the criminals and riffraff of Gotham have been basically locked away in this quarantine zone giant prison called Arkham City.
Because there's no Arkham Asylum anymore. It got blowed up.
Mm-hmm. And so Bruce Wayne goes up to this place. He's like, I'm going to run for mayor because this whole thing sounds really fishy and I want to put a stop to it. But then he gets arrested and thrown into the Arkham City giant prison place. Where it turns out there's this mad doctor called Dr. Strange, not that one, this is his big project, and he's silencing people who oppose him. So you put on your bat suit. Turns out this was the plan all along for Batman to infiltrate Arkham City.
In.
And you go through in a similar way to Arkham City, where you go through and fight the different bosses and stuff, where it turns out inside the place, Joker has once again set up his own sort of rule. And then you've got he and Two-Face and Penguin are sort of these mob bosses trying to rule over
their own territories.
Yep.
But Joker is not feeling too good.
He's not feeling so good, Mr.
Turns out getting
Batman.
big and then getting small again left him pretty sick.
He's got blood poisoning of some fashion, and so he's trying to get a cure.
And to strong-arm Batman into helping him get a cure, he gives Batman Joker blood that is, tainted with this poison, and then tells him that also he sent bags of his blood out to several emergency rooms and hospitals. So if you don't find a cure for me,
a lot of people are going to die.
You won't survive, and other people won't survive. So Batman, you're kind of painted into a corner here. Help me out,
yeah, because he knew that if Batman would be content just to have them both die if it meant getting Joker out of the way and himself. So Joker got some insurance and poisoned some innocent people because he knew Batman wouldn't be able to help himself. So with the sort of he kind of fights Mr. Freeze into helping him make a cure.
Because Mr. Freeze is a biomedical wizard kind of guy.
And he's trying. He froze his wife, who was terminally ill, and became Freeze Man.
Right.
While trying to find a cure for her. Anyway, so you fight him. And he's like, okay, well, I'll help you make the cure, but you have to help me find my wife because I think it's
Penguin.
Penguin took her. So anyway, you fight Penguin, you fight Two-Face, you fight Joker's goons, and then you eventually lock away Penguin and Two-Face. Two-Face you can't take out right at the beginning. But at any rate, you also, Catwoman's there. You fight Poison Ivy. You make the antidote, or the cure... not the band, and the
ninjas show up, right?
Ninjas show up, yeah. And it turns out the League of Assassins led by Al Ghul boy.
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Well, Rage is kind of out of the picture right now. It's his daughter Talia who's doing the stuff.
Who Batman and we have a history, she and I.
I'm here to fulfill Ra's al Ghul's destiny.
Yep. So he meets up with her because assassins be sneaking around town. And she's like, yeah, we're trying to deal with the situation. The League of Assassins are trying to put a stop to it.
Because we want to destroy all evil and crime in the world by killing it, and that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We try and make a better world by killing everybody. Isn't that a good thing,
Batman? Become the successor of my father like he wanted you to all along. So Batman does the trials and discovers that Ra's al Ghul has indeed been resurrected in the Lazarus pit again, which has given him a naturally long life.
It's kind of his thing.
It's given him an unnaturally long life, so he's been alive for hundreds of years. And he's like, join me and together we will rule Gotham. Like, wait. He's like, well, let's destroy crime but you have to strike me down. And Batman won't kill. So he's like, all right, fine, I'll make you. But you beat him up anyway. And you're like, nah, not going to kill you.
But yeah, it's after that.
Fours and 7.
Okay,
we're back. So yeah,
after you deal with the whole Ra's al Ghul issue, you go up to Hugo Strange's tower to see what Protocol 10 is, because he's been announcing that over the loudspeakers.
Protocol 10 begins in 10 hours.
Turns out what Protocol 10 was blow up Arkham City.
Yeah, all these helicopters from this shady organization are just going around and murking everybody, and Batman's like, even though they're criminals, you can't just straight up kill people. So it turns out Protocol 10 was just get all the bad people in Gotham together and just kill them all. So you fight Strange, put a stop to Protocol 10.
Turns out Strange was working for Ra's al Ghul,
who kills him for his failure. And then
promptly kills himself in a long fall.
Mm-hmm.
Not like that's ever been an issue for him.
Yep. Because Batman refuses to take up the mantle or whatever. And then Joker. So Batman goes to confront Joker, who's kidnapped Talia, who thinks she has the situation under control and is just going to kill him. But Batman's like, no, she's too dangerous. At some point, Harley stole the cure that Batman had made while he was fighting Mr. Freeze. And so she's taking it to Joker. Or so we think. When Batman finally confronts Joker, he's like, hey, yeah, I'm still dying. I haven't taken the cure yet, even though you thought I did. That was actually Clayface, who's my body double. Dum, dum, dum. So you fight Clayface. And Joker's like, give me the cure. I think he had a falling out with Harley.
Yeah.
Who didn't give him the cure. And so you fight Clayface and then you fight Joker. After you give yourself the cure, Joker's like, all right.
Just a little bit left in the vial.
Joker's
perhaps
like,
enough to save Joker.
Yep. Joker's like, okay, give it to me, and then stabs Batman, who promptly, because he's been stabbed, drops the vial, and it's all gone. So Joker is like, well, crap, I guess I'll die. Batman's, you know what's funny, Joker? You want to hear a joke? I still probably would have saved you.
Even after all the horrible, awful, no good things you did today.
Mm-hmm. And Joker's like, yeah, that is pretty funny. And then he dies. And that's the end of game 1.
2.
Yeah.
2, my lord.
2, my lord.
Peace out. So yeah.
Those are the first 2.
Joker is dead.
Joker dead, and
that is the beginning of the first game. You literally
Joker's dead, just like
third
Loki's
game. You should
dead.
say.
The third game, you tap A to cremate Joker to start off the game. So he's dead. Gotham is quiet, a little too quiet. But then pretty quickly that changes. There's this diner that Scarecrow releases a souped up version of fear toxin, which makes everybody go crazy and just murder each other. Turns out that not even hazmat equipment and gas masks can protect you from this stuff. And Scarecrow's like, I'm going to unleash this on the city. So this is Halloween, by the way, which doesn't really have any bearing on that, whatever. So they evacuate the whole city of Gotham and close it off. And naturally, Batman is on the case. And Gordon and the cops and a bunch of criminals are all that are left on the island. Or so they think. There's suddenly a militia of heavily armed mercenaries shows up, led by the mysterious Arkham Knight, who is out to get Batman, but Batman has no clue who he is. So, yeah, with the looming threat of the dispersion of the gas throughout the city, Batman fights his way around until he gets to Scarecrow's lab and destroys the big tank that is going to explode and spread this stuff all over the place. Because not only will to prevent Scarecrow from unleashing the gas, but turns out this wasn't the only stash of this stuff, and there's this device called the Cloudburst that floats up in the clouds and disperses gas. So Scarecrow wants to try it out here, and then he's just going to go around the country and nuke cities with this stuff. Make everyone be afraid, especially you, Batman, who's been having some psychological issues since the death of Joker. He is hallucinating Joker in his, during waking hours. And every time he's exposed to fear toxin, it gets a little bit worse. So he's afraid that Joker is slowly taking over his mind. Meanwhile, Barbara Gordon, who at this point has the mantle in all three games, has the mantle of Oracle because she used to be Batgirl, but then Joker broke into her apartment and shot her in the spine,
paralyzing her from the
waist down. From the hips down, yeah.
So now she's the girl in the chair with the computer.
She's hiding up in the clock tower, unbeknownst to Jim Gordon, her dad, who thinks she evacuated with everybody else. So she stays behind to help Batman, and Robin does as well, naturally. This Robin.
There have been multiple Robins over the years.
Yeah.
The first Robin, Dick Grayson, goes on to become Nightwing, who's a character in this game.
Yeah, who shows up from time to time, yeah.
The second one was Jason Todd, who was killed in heavy air quotation marks by the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Tim Drake, who's the current Robin.
Yep.
It's kind of like what happened in the comics, but in the games also.
Yep. So, this Arkham Knight dude seems to know a lot of details about Bruce Wayne. Or not Bruce Wayne. Well,
about
Batman.
Bruce Wayne, but...
Yeah, about Batman in particular. And so, with his help, Scarecrow kidnaps Barbara Gordon from the clock tower and holds her hostage. So Batman has a "where is she" moment, which I thought was kind of funny. Or no, that was in the DLC. Anyway, let's see. So he fights around the city, has some run-ins with the Arkham Knight and Penguin and these other guys. You can do side quests to fight. And watches her get gassed with fear toxin and kill herself. And so he's devastated because she was stuck behind heavy reinforced glass and he couldn't do anything to save her. So he's like, Robin and Barbara kind of had a thing for each other. So he's like, well, I can't tell Robin because he's honest to Jim, who didn't even know Barbara was in town. Yeah, Jim Gordon, who didn't even know Barbara was still in town, who's all mad at him and decides to go after Scarecrow himself because he feels betrayed by Batman, who he's been helping till this point. She works for you? What? So he's like, well, crap, if Gordon had that reaction, I can't tell Robin because who knows what he'll do. I can't lose another one. So all this time he's been having Robin work on a cure for this Joker blood poisoning because from the first game when he sent out, was it the second game?
It was the second game.
Second game, he sent his blood out to these emergency rooms, and there was a few people who didn't get the antidote in time, so they've slowly turned into sort of Joker-like people. Harley Quinn recognizes this and breaks into the facility to try to steal them away because she's like, it's my Joker. I've got to, this is his reincarnation. He's mine.
She is kind of nuts, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah. So you and Robin work together to fight and take back all of the Joker-ish clones, or transplants, if you will. Meanwhile, you've already locked up Poison Ivy. She'll be important later. Let's see.
I can't help you with this one.
Yeah, that's right. So you fight the Jokers, and it turns out the one guy who had been exposed but seemed to be immune was really the most Joker of them all, and hid his symptoms. He's like, haha, this is part of my final plan. So he kills the other versions, or the other people, Joker infected people, and kills himself, which reveals to Batman, crap, well, there's no cure for this Joker thing, which means that I'm going to become like them. Because he, was infected with Joker's blood too, even though he had the antidote. So Robin's like, well, Bruce, I think we both know this means we need to lock you up until we can find a cure. But then Arkham Knight rolls in and is about to attack the place with tanks, so Batman does a no-you card and throws Robin in the cell to keep him from interfering and getting himself killed, and goes after the Arkham Knight. Meanwhile, Arkham Knight and Scarecrow manage to detonate the cloudburst over all of Gotham. So yeah, the whole place is just nuked with fear toxin. And so Batman manages to... there's this guy named Simon Stagg who helped Scarecrow make the cloudburst thing, but he also has these energy cells which will protect the Batmobile from the gas, help him filter it. So he uses that and is able to drive around the city, but he can't really exit the thing for very long because if he's exposed to the fear toxin too much, Joker will take over. So you use that, and with the help of Poison Ivy, who with her plants is immune to the fear toxin, you uncover an ancient tree and slurp up all of the fear toxin and free Gotham. But the effort kills her. So her final act is sort of a noble sacrifice, even if it was just for her plants, because they were dying from the toxin too. Anyway, so the toxin's dealt with, but you got to find this device before he can recharge it and do it again somewhere else.
At what point does Azrael show up?
He's kind of a side.
He's kind of a side quest.
Yeah, side
thing?
quest. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about him later then.
Yeah. So let's see. After that, you finally have a showdown, a couple of showdowns with the Arkham Knight who's guarding the cloudburst with this tank. So you take those out and fight Arkham Knight, and he gets away because you hallucinate Joker for a minute. And then the second time you fight him, you unmask him and discover that, holy crap, it's Tim Drake.
Nope. Tim Drake is Robin 3. This is Jason Todd.
Jason Todd. I saw you die. And he's like, you left me, and as it turns out, Joker had imprisoned him, pretended to kill him, or maybe intended to kill him and failed, and tortured this Robin into hating Batman, who Jason Todd blames for abandoning him, even though he honestly thought he was dead. So every time Batman beats him in the fight, he's like, he tries to have mercy and bring him back. And he's like, why won't you just fight me or kill me or something like that? And then just runs away. So with him dealt with, you now have to deal with Scarecrow. So you and Mr. Gordon, or your Commissioner Gordon, go after Scarecrow. And then Gordon, while they're confronting Scarecrow, points a gun at Batman. Because it turns out, psych, Barbara's not actually dead. Batman had been gassed with fear toxin and thought he'd watched her die. And Jim Gordon knew this. So he shoots Batman, who falls off the ledge. And then he's like, all right, give me my daughter back. And Scarecrow's like, haha, psych, and throws her off the ledge. Turns out Gordon knew what he was doing and shot Batman on the bat symbol, which turns out to be the strongest part of his armor. And Batman rescues Gordon and takes her back to the police precinct. And then all heck breaks loose with the militia attacking the police headquarters, and there's the big final showdown with Scarecrow's forces. And so Batman goes after him. Well, no, Scarecrow kidnaps Gordon and manages to kidnap Robin as well. He's like, all right, buddy, you got to come face me if you want to see these guys alive again. So you go, and he captures you and brings you in a mirror of the sequence from the first game where you're bringing Joker in on a gurney.
Oh, there's where the
Batman's being dragged in on a gurney by Scarecrow's goons, and he's hallucinating Joker.
That's actually pretty great. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Scarecrow reveals his dastardly plan. He's like, I'm going to reveal to the world who you are. And so I'll set these people free, these guys free, if you do it. So he non-lethally shoots Tim Drake.
Current
Robin. And he's like, I'm going to shoot Jim if you don't cooperate. And so he's like, fine. So he lets his mask be taken off in front of the news camera recording or whatever. So the whole world knows that Bruce Wayne is now Batman.
The whole hallucinating world.
Yep. Well, the people have all evacuated off the islands of Gotham at this point. So they've got a news feed going to those people. Anyway, the world knows that Bruce Wayne is now Batman, who is now having a hallucination battle with Joker inside his mind. So he hunts down hallucination Joker in his mind and imprisons him deep in his memory or whatever. It's kind of a fun horror game sequence where you're playing as Joker with a shotgun trying to run away from Batman. It's pretty great. And Bruce Wayne wins the battle, and turns out he's faced his fears, and so the fear toxin no longer has any effect on him. So he does a no you card to Scarecrow, gives him his own fear toxin, and breaks out of his bonds and locks him up. So everything is over now. Scarecrow and all the goons get locked up. The city is saved, but the world knows he's Batman. He's like, all right, well, I got to finish my work here tonight. Gotta finish all those side quests.
Find all the Riddler trophies.
Oh boy. And then Alfred set in motion the Nightfall protocol. So
Nightfall.
Yep.
That is a reference to the comic book arc in which Batman breaks his back.
Yep. In this case,
anyway,
I looked it up, even though I'm still kind of gradually working on the Riddler trophies because it's the only side quest I haven't finished yet. Apparently, when you go back to the mansion at the end, it blows up. So Batman's dead, or so we think. There are rumors of his sighting years later, because the whole world knew
his own death, sort of thing.
Yep. So those are the main three games we're going to talk about. Haven't played Origins. I don't think it's particularly relevant for the main trilogy.
It isn't.
So, we've all played the first two games, so let's start there. What do we like about the Batman Arkham games?
It really makes you feel like you're Batman.
Press X to feel like Batman.
Well, that's like the buzzword tagline all the reviews and promotional material says, right? It's like, make you feel like Batman. But honestly,
it rings true.
But it's the dead honest truth.
Oh, yeah. I love, you get all of the major gadgets you know Batman for. And
you get the whole rogues gallery, pretty much.
Yeah, you fight all the major villains you know of, and even some you probably don't. Like Zaz, the crazy knife guy. You've got, a sequence in Arkham City where the Mad Hatter ties you up at a Mad Tea Party.
Yep.
And just, and then Clayface is a major character in the second one. It's like, oh, I didn't see you coming out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I love the stealth sequences.
Yeah.
The most Batman-y part of the combat is not necessarily when you're punching guys, but when you're grappling through the rafters and tying
sneaking
people
up and dropping from a ledge.
Dropping from gargoyles.
That's
watching them get more and more scared the whole time. Super good.
Yeah. So it the gadgets and the stealth gameplay and the Bat Vision cowl deal all make you feel like Batman.
And you got
it's true though. It's like a great Batman story too. Mark Hamill in the first two games plays Joker.
In all three.
Was he in the third one?
He plays the hallucinations of Joker in the third one.
Oh, did you look it up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you got Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy plays Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And all the same voice actors from the 90s TV show. I believe Barbara Gordon has her same voice actor, and Commissioner Gordon, and most of the villains. So it's like it manages to capture like the feel of Batman by playing to what's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But also
you can grapple hook and fly around. And the third game, the first 2 games you're on foot for all of it. The third game, because it's now all of Gotham City pretty much, you can drive the Batmobile around, which is souped up. It can transform from a car into a tank, and there's puzzles and different things you can do with it. It's a little wonky to get used to, but after a while you do get used to it. So that is good fun too. And so the first game is kind of small scale because you just have like the Arkham.
Very dense, right?
Yeah, the Arkham Asylum is basically the extent of the map. Arkham City is a slight scale up from that. It's more open worldy.
You can glide around and grapple around and feel like Batman.
Yep.
The third one has all of Arkham,
pretty much all of Gotham.
Yeah.
For the most part, at least central Gotham. So yeah, it sort of gradually scales up, and I played all 3 games over the course of 2 weeks because I'm bored. And well, because we wanted to talk about it on the podcast, so here we are. But yeah, no, I'm generally a fan of open world games. Some do it well, some don't really. But I think the 2 games that are more open worldy do a really good job of it. The Arkham City is a little clunky with the side quest stuff to figure out, but the third game has a really nice way of doing side quests where it gives you a progress bar on each one.
Oh, sure.
So you're not left guessing how much of this thing you got left.
I mean, there might be a progress bar in City, but you'd have to dig through a couple of menus to get it.
Yeah. Although there's a few things the game doesn't tell you that are kind of nice to know. Like, I didn't know until I beat the game, and apparently this is pretty common, that the freeze grenade is in this one location. Why don't they just give it to you? I don't know. But it's in like one of the back
They
caves
want to
or whatever.
reward you for exploration.
Yeah.
I personally don't mind that they don't tell you like how far through a side quest you are. Because really what I'm in it for is the role play of being Batman and being the world's greatest detective working through a mystery. So you shouldn't know a priori what the conclusion is in terms of its duration into the exploration of the mystery.
Yeah.
I think it's more immersive that they don't have it in Arkham City.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Let's see. The first 2 games, I mean, the third game sort of deals with the consequences of the first 2.
Well, the second one deals with the consequences of the first one.
Yeah.
They all like directly feed into each other, which is kind of pretty cool.
The first 2 are definitely the closest together thematically and narratively. We were talking about this the other day, like the themes of the
the first
games.
one is pretty straightforward Batman. The theme is drugs are bad.
Joker is
Don't do drugs, kids.
the clown prince of chaos.
The one thing about the first one is I think that in concept, a roided up Joker is kind of a dumb idea for a boss.
Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed by the boss fight. It was fun.
But if you think back on the other major bosses of the game, you've got Killer Croc, you've got Bane, you've got souped up Joker goons.
From a gameplay standpoint,
it was
like,
the
I know what to
capstone
do
to
here.
what you're familiar with.
It's like, I know what to do here.
But it's like, But I also appreciate. I mean, it makes for a great sequel. I love what they do with it in City, even though Joker with a mohawk and just big muscles is kind of dumb
big
looking.
Joker roided up.
But no, the first one,
Big Joker.
the first one isn't as narratively deep. It's just a day in the life of Batman.
Yeah, or night rather. These all take
Rather.
place over one night, which is kind of crazy if you consider I put 40 hours into Arkham City. So it's the one long night. I tell you what.
But the second one is a lot more narratively deep.
Or
and
Arkham
interesting.
Knight rather. Sorry.
Arkham, right. City moves on to be a little more narratively interesting and deep with Joker and Batman's relationship and to one another and with
We're
the
stuck
city of
together
Gotham.
by blood, brother. kinda, not really brother, but
Kinda. But then
Brother.
furthermore, upon watching you replay it and thinking about it, I realized the second one has a heavy theme of escaping death or of cheating death, right? Or of death in general.
Yeah.
You've got Joker who's slowly dying and trying to bargain his way into getting a cure. You've got Ra's al Ghul as one of the main villains who his whole thing is dying and then getting resurrected in what is called a Lazarus pit.
Which is this weird slimy goo that brings him back to life every time.
Mr. Freeze plays a major role, and his whole thing is keeping his wife alive just long enough to
find a cure.
Cheat death with her disease. I think those were all the major points I noticed.
One of the things I liked about the side quests in Arkham Knight was that it wrapped up all of the side character villains' character arcs.
Sure.
Because in that game, with Mr. Freeze, for example, in the first game you help rescue his wife from Penguin's goons or something. In this game, second game. What am I even saying? Anyway, so in this game, in the third game, you encounter him failing to rescue his wife on board a ship, and he's waylaid by the Arkham Knight's militia or whatever. So you fight them off, but in the course of it, she gets unfrozen and is like, I hate seeing what you've become. Just let me die. And so they have a moment where, Mr. Freeze finally lets go and allows his wife to die and holds her hand as she passes away. So that was kind of a brief, but
which kind of fits into the theme of the third game I was noticing as we were playing.
Yep.
Because the third game seems to very much have a theme of the consequences of being Batman. Are the consequences of having a Batman and being a Batman worth it?
Yep.
Because Jason Todd as the Red Hood / Arkham Knight is a major character, and he is a direct result of him being Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Gordon and her paralysis
and apparent death, but not actual,
is a consequence of him being Batman. Most of his villains, they highlight Two-Face and his condition as being because Batman couldn't save him.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, I think that bit with Mr. Freeze is he has to deal with the consequences and finally let go of the consequences.
Yep.
Or let go of
let his wife die in peace. By letting her live to begin, her last days.
Scarecrow's not exactly a replacement for Joker.
No.
But the fear toxin angle really works, because what's Batman's greatest fear? It's losing the people he loves. Mm-hmm. That's what made him into Batman. Why he became Batman to prevent the thing he became Batman to prevent was more people innocently dying, particularly those close to him. Because for those of you unaware of Batman's origin story, his parents were shot in an alley, which...
you even fight in part of the sequence where Joker's trying to take over his mind. You go into Crime Alley and fight a bunch of Jokers.
Oh,
it's kind of a fun sequence. Anyway.
Although Joker only was the guy that shot his parents in the Tim Burton movie.
Yep.
In all other media, it is Joe Chill.
Yep.
But not that he has any bearing on anything. Actually, that was one of my favorite bits in the first game, because Scarecrow's a character in the first game. He's got a couple of stealthy, platformy, fear toxin bits. But the transition between playing the main game and going into his level is weird and surreal and freaky.
Yeah.
And one of them is you walk into one room of Arkham Asylum, and instead of the normal navigational prompt of, oh, you're in this room, it tells you you're in Wayne Manor. And then you walk down this hallway and it gets longer and it becomes Crime Alley, and you see the chalked outlines of his parents, and then it gives you the crash course on Batman.
Yep.
His origin story. It's so good. And then you do the whole platformy bit with a scary, gigantic Scarecrow guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think That's something I really like about the game, is just the attention to detail and the way it uses the gameplay to tell the story. Yeah. Particularly like when you're describing this final sequence in City with Night. With the whole Joker bit and him overcoming Joker symbolically through the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Super good.
Yeah, because like Joker, a hallucination of Joker will just randomly show up on like a rooftop as you're navigating the city and kind of taunt you or tease you or something like that as you go along. So yeah, the let's see, what was the other? I mean, another side quest is you work with Nightwing to take down Penguin's gun smuggling operation, and each of these ends with like a boss fight. After Arkham Knight pieces out, he helps save you from Scarecrow at the end.
Nightwing?
Yeah, Arkham Knight does.
Oh, Arkham Knight does.
Red Hood, I guess now.
Oh, okay.
But after he pieces out, Deathstroke comes in and takes over the militia because he got paid as a backup by Scarecrow, so you have a fight with him. So each of the side quests kind of ends in a mini boss fight, which is kind of fun. And you get to play. There's a whole Riddler quest line where you have to do all these puzzles in sort of a Saw-like way because he captured Catwoman and has got this explosive collar around her neck. They have to find all the keys for. And then once you've freed her, and then it goes into the Riddler trophies to finish his quest, where you fight him in a giant green mech for some reason. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but there's also a Killer Croc thing where this is like a DLC mission. You rescue hostages from the Mad Hatter and have a pop-up book fight, which is kind of fun. So yeah, there's these different side quests and stuff like that. That's another
thing I really like about these games is, sure, Joker's the headliner and you got Two-Face and your Penguin, but they also just allow themselves to dive elbow deep into Batman lore with obscure characters. And just like
Hush even makes an appearance.
Yeah. He's only been relevant for like one arc in the comics, but he shows up in the thing. Azrael of all characters. Like anti-Batman, like religious zealot trying to be Batman sort of thing. But he shows up and plays a role. And they don't even have to be like bosses. They could just be background characters. One of the things I liked in Arkham Asylum is when you're just going through and seeing some of the cells, they're really well-dressed sets. So you can look into pretty much most of the major cell rooms and cell doors and see the decor put up by the inmates and guess, oh, this must be Riddler's room. Or, oh, that's a lot of calendars sitting there. That must be Calendar Man's room. And actually in the second game, in City, there's like the old Goth GCPD building that Two-Face took over or something like that. But after you drive him out of there, you can go into the basement. There's a holding cell. And like one of the characters in the holding cell is Calendar Man, who's this kind of obscure-ish Batman villain whose whole thing is doing crimes that corresponds to certain dates. But based on your your console or your computer's clock internally, he will be able to know what time of year it is and make a comment appropriate to the holiday it's nearest, which is just this delightful like level of detail.
Yep. Also, there's like a little Clayface cameo in the first game. Like,
oh, right.
You walk by this cell where there's this cop banging for Batman to let him get out. I was like, didn't I see you outside? Anyway, and then you come back after a cutscene.
Like, after talking to the warden who's locked up.
And there's somebody else. Yeah, somebody else is in there locked up.
Well, it's the warden.
Yeah, it's the warden.
After you just talked to him.
Yeah, yep. So that's kind of a fun little thing. But
speaking of Clayface, so in the second game, in City, Clayface is like morphed to look like Joker and is helping Joker pull off his plan. And you don't really realize that until the twist at the end. But if you're observant and you use your detective vision, like when you go into detective vision, you'll like see like a skeletal X-ray of all the guys, right?
See through walls and so forth.
See through walls. It'll help you keep track of like the bad guys and your stealth moments and stuff. But if you're observant in like the times you can see healthy Joker, you will notice he doesn't have bones.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's Clayface. And if you aren't thinking of trying to put the mystery together, it'd fly over your head if you don't know to look. But the evidence is there for you to put together beforehand. It's just that the attention to detail.
Yep.
So good.
So yeah, a lot of fun games to play. A little buggy, but not too bad. I had the games crash on me a couple times.
Well, maybe it just depends on the platform.
Could be. But
definitely not optimized for PC.
No.
They were
I played it with a
originally
controller
console
nonetheless.
releases, and well, it's just that's what they were optimized on.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, when Arkham Knight originally shipped on PC, the entire thing was, or was it Origin?
Oh, it was Night.
It was Knight.
Yeah, it was it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
So that would probably explain why you haven't finished it yet.
I never even started it because of that.
It works fine for me, at least. So you'd think at this point
they updated it
patched
to the point where it was a playable state.
Yep.
But the fact that they had to is kind of a bad look for them.
Yeah. But I guess be that as it may, are there any other comments before we go into our analysis? We good?
Doesn't seem to be.
Cool. So truth. What truths can we find in the Arkham games?
Drugs are bad, kids.
Yeah, drugs are bad.
Let's elaborate on that a little bit. At least in the context, like in this game, because that's, it's a pretty easy takeaway.
I feel like no elaboration is needed. The evidence, the proof is in the pudding, as it were.
Yeah.
But that's like not the only thing. That's only the first game.
Yeah.
It is really only the first game, but
Well, yeah.
in a certain manner of speaking, drugs are still driving the second because you're attempting to deal with the drugged blood.
The fallout
And
of
drugs
that,
dominate the third
effects,
game because fear toxin is something that's intended to drug you. So
Yeah, but those as tools of chaos, I suppose, of wreaking havoc on the civilized world.
little bit of chaos.
of tools of destabilizing human interaction, the human mind,
Mm-hmm.
for evil.
Hence drugs.
Yeah. What other truths can we find in the games?
Batman sticks to his morals.
Yep.
He never kills anybody.
Yep.
Killing
Which is a flawed ethical vision, to be clear. But at least to his credit, he sticks to it.
Yep.
He is a deontological ethicist, which means that under no circumstances whatsoever may his principles, relatively arbitrary as they are, can be broken.
And from his background, watching
He reads
his
too much
parents be
Kant,
murdered.
in other words.
Yeah. Well, that and from the background of his parents being murdered and wanting to put an end to crime and to never be himself the instrument of someone else's death. Makes sense. It tracks for his character.
But we do see
It certainly does.
the fallout of that commitment in the third game.
Mm-hmm.
And in other
And
Batman
in
media.
Batman. Yes.
Yep. Oh, I forgot to mention that Talia, because when in the final fight with Joker, Talia al Ghul in Arkham City gets killed by the Joker.
Yeah. And
He,
she's like,
he forgot to read his catechism.
Yeah.
Joker is, in fact, too much of a threat to society to be... it is morally acceptable to execute him.
Well, even
That's pretty
Batman
clear.
is starting to come around to that point a little bit at the final fight with Joker in Arkham City. He's like, every time I stop you, you just get out and kill more people. Think of all the people that would still be alive if I just killed you a long time ago. But in the end, he doesn't end up having to kill Joker, but he allows him to die nonetheless. And there's even a side quest in Arkham Knight where you come across the League of Assassins again in Ra's al Ghul, where they're trying to resurrect him with the Lazarus Pit again, but his other daughter that's not dead is leading a group of rebels and is like, tell you what, Bruce, if you help me take down my dad once and for all, and this, because they found a secondary Lazarus Pit because the first one got blown up. He found another one, like a fountain in Gotham or whatever, so they destroyed that, and you're given a choice. because Alfred is like, preventing him from resurrecting himself again isn't exactly morally the same as killing him per se, because he's already unnaturally extended his life all this time. So you do get a choice whether to give the Lazarus stuff to Ra's al Ghul or to destroy the apparatus keeping him alive and allow him to die and so free Gotham of the League of Assassins. So that's the choice I ended up going with because I didn't feel like a boss fight. And so the League of Assassins leads Gotham. But
then there was also that bit in the Azrael side quest where he was being groomed by the Masons or whatever to kill Batman and take his place or something.
Yep.
And I was there watching you. So
yeah, because
Batman's on the computer.
Yeah, that quest. That quest line is where Batman's like, okay, I want to see what you're about, so he gives you combat challenges you play as Azrael for those. And so the final bit, Batman goes onto his computer, is like, well, I'm going to give you a choice. You can fight your programming and leave me alive, or you can kill me and take your place as Batman as the programming is. I'm not going to stop you. So you get to choose. I think you probably have a boss fight against Batman if you choose to attack him.
But you did.
But I chose, not to fight Batman. So he's like, you did the right thing. He's like, I'm going to take down people responsible for this. So there are some interesting moral choices presented in the game. I'm not sure if they necessarily reach any conclusion other than offering you two different options to navigate specific situations.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of answers the questions by not letting you answer them, which isn't really a way to answer it, but
more just makes you think about it.
Yeah. Any other truths in the game?
Let's see. Cover the drugs to cover the killing.
There's sort of the question of, is Batman being a vigilante? Because we were talking about the consequences of being Batman, right? Like, it seems like these villains' obsession with him just causes them to escalate their violence more and more.
And also target the people close to him, who are trained and willing to lay down their life to help Batman in his crusade against justice. That's their whole thing.
Yep.
Or crusade against
crusade
justice?
For
crusade
justice.
for justice against crime.
Yeah.
I had things in my brain, but they didn't come out in the right order.
Yep.
But yeah. So basically, Nightwing's all like, I know what I signed up for. You can call on me and help. I can help you out. And Batman's like,
well, all of them are like that.
Alone.
Like Barbara's like that before she gets captured. Tim Drake is like that.
I mean, just on some level, Alfred and
the whole Bat family is like,
the whole Bat fam.
we chose this as well. It's not, you're not solely responsible for us. You got to let us.
I work alone.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on. I think in the first two games, that's basically every time Robin opens his mouth, he yells at him like, no, keep doing what you're doing. I'm fine. Until you finally...
Yeah. You need support. You need your family.
So yeah, that's the other takeaway is like, don't... if people are helping you in a struggle, let them help you.
No man is an island.
Correct.
Particularly not islands that get blown up by Joker.
Yeah. Goodness. What are some elements of goodness in the Arkham games?
Alfred
Alfred is,
awesome.
yeah.
Alfred's great.
Yeah.
He cares deeply for
Master Bruce.
Definitely like
Bruce.
a father figure to him after the death of his parents, for sure.
I mean, his family has served the Waynes for a
generations,
long time.
yeah.
So
and
they have a deep personal connection to each other.
And Gordon is a great stalwart policeman. Who
one of the
at least
few
in this
uncorrupt
iteration
cops.
Yeah. Who at least in this iteration was the one who took the witness statement from young Bruce Wayne after the death of his parents.
Yep.
And so Batman never forgot his kindness and so worked to help Gordon restore order in the city. So there's sort of a respect and a friendship there. And then, like we were just discussing, all of the extended Bat family helping Bruce.
Yeah, Tim Drake and Dick Grayson and Barbara
Mm-hmm.
Gordon.
And even Jason Todd before he was, captured and corrupted.
Yeah.
All these people who are willing to put themselves on, or put their lives on the line to help Batman. And there's a couple times in each game where Batman almost dies, in his effort. So that willingness to sacrifice his life to save others is always a good thing.
In the second one, it's him, and he's taking the trial with Talia when he's about to die of Joker poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you got even like the bad guys can help you out. Can do
Poison Ivy in the
things.
third game. Kind of a pain in the first two, but in the third game she sees the greater good and decides to sacrifice herself to free the city of the fear toxin.
And Mr. Freeze is
sort of an anti-hero.
Yeah. I mean, his whole thing is he's a desperate man who'll go to any lengths, but what he wants is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just the ends don't justify the means. That's not the morality thing. And then in the end, his acceptance of that is pretty.
Yep. He finally accepts that there's nothing he can do to prevent his wife from dying, and she asks him to let her live her final moments and, with him as she chooses. So he manages to let go that way. It's a pretty cool moment. Yeah.
And Batman saves people. He
conquers his fears.
Yeah.
Beauty. Very fun games.
They're pretty visually perfect in terms of...
Particularly by PS3 standards.
Right.
Which is, I believe, when they...
Yeah, Xbox 360 is what? Asylum and City launched on. Night launched on Xbox One, but...
Okay.
So, we're talking about pretty old hardware here.
Yep. And the visual fidelity of... the first two games are very much stylized, and so is the third one, but I just found all the details and stuff really cool in the third one. It's very much the culmination of the stylistically of the three games.
And I feel like stylistically, they do a really good job being bridging the gap between the ridiculously zany comic book designs and the more grounded movies that were recent, like the
and you can also
Nolan
choose
movies.
To play as those different
right.
skins.
You've got all sorts of different skins you can play as with Batman. You can even play Adam West Batman if you wanted.
Yeah,
you can play the Batman Beyond Batman.
Oh yeah,
Dark. You can play as the Dark Knight trilogy Batman. That's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, the aesthetics of the game. Well, Batman's got this really great, gothic design to.
And the villains are ridiculous, but they're not as crazy ridiculous as they have been in other incarnations. Obviously, Joker's Joker.
And
yeah, they have that element of stylization that the comics has, but they also have a grittiness and reality to them.
Balance it really nicely.
Honestly, the fight I found the most frustrating in the whole series was the Solomon Grundy fight.
Oh yeah, that was another cheating death character, Zombie Man from the second game that I forgot to mention was a part of that theming that I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that and the Poison Ivy fight was really annoying.
From the second one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the Poison Ivy fights were annoying.
Mm-hmm. But it's there were plenty of instances where I know what I have to do. I just keep doing the same thing wrong over and over again. In the third game, there's the last Azrael challenge. You have to fight these simulated bad guys with blades. See, the blade dodging is incredibly annoying. Anyway, you have to fight these guys with blades and beat them all without getting hit. I kid you not. I probably was getting to be 30 attempts before I finally beat that because I finally got the blade dodge right. But anyway, Unity. What draws the themes of the games together?
It makes you feel like Batman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because the theme of the first game, drugs are bad, but
well, Well, the theme of the
first
thesis
two.
statement of all the games is to make you feel like Batman.
Yeah.
And so it gives you the experience. It gives you the gadgets, the gameplay, but also the story themes and the general moral questions of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, these games are kind of some of the quintessential Batman experiences, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some fantastic comics that, if you're interested, you ought to read. And
Right.
The Nolan movies are great. The first, Tim Burton movie's pretty interesting. This 1960s show is fun as all get out.
Yeah, in its own way.
I think these games do a really good job as their own, self-contained thesis statement of Batman, what he is and what he represents.
Mm-hmm.
While also making you feel like him.
Yep, it's a good cross-section of the Batman experience.
Mm-hmm.
I guess anything else to talk about today for that?
I think that about does it.
Sweet.
I think, yeah.
Well, in that case, thanks for listening to the Palladium Papists. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Papists. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, or suggestions for future episodes, email us at palladiumpapists@gmail.com. We will talk to you guys again next week. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.